bad.
Oh, and Olia, do you remember the questions, by the way?
I wrote them down to the notes on my phone, and if I forget something, I can just collapse this Zoom screen and go to the notes. And
Okay,
but
good.
I remember the first 5 questions.
Perfect. I think we're now actually, right?
Yeah, we are live on Facebook.
Yeah,
we're live.
Already. So yeah. Hi everyone. This is platform 2 from Mariupol, and we are having a weaving session number 3. This is the project Weaving Network that is supported by House of Europe, and the project which is aimed to weave together 7 female artists all across Europe from 5 countries and 3 time zones. And we keep on talking and exploring the invisible work of women and people affected by this epidemic we are surviving right now. I'm Diana Burke, and I will be moderating today's weaving session. Our lead artists today, the pair of artists are Olia Fedorova from Kharkiv, Ukraine, and Alice Máselníková. Sorry, I just, yeah, we just learn each other's names because of everyone comes from all over, from Stockholm, Sweden. And today, 2 artists invite you to explore the meaning and the sense of home. This is something that we've been living in for like more than half of a year, and for artists it's something really special, especially for freelance artists. Home is something special, the sacred place, because artists usually create their artwork there. And home feels so differently, and feeling of home or being at home is means so different things to everyone. And working at home, whether it's a thing with especially in the project where we explore the invisible work of women. So maybe working at home for women artists, female artists, is something that is also underappreciated. So there is so much to think and explore. And I will post the questions that our artists invite you to think about and to answer. What is home for you? What feelings, perceptions, and sensations do you connect home with? Has your feeling of home and or transformed recently, and how? How do you relate home and work? Do you work at home? Do you like working at home? Are you good at working at home? So I'm pasting these questions into Zoom chat, and please write your ideas and comments below. And Alice and Olia, will you say a couple of words, or do you want to just drown into the session?
Thank you, Diana, for the nice introduction. So, as you have heard, I am based in Stockholm, Sweden, but I'm originally from the Czech Republic. And today with Olga, we will be discussing these concepts that Diana just introduced you to. It will be quite a relaxed conversation. Myself, I'm now sitting in my home studio because I have my atelier in my kitchen. I will be working, we decided that we will be doing this conversation sort of connected to our artistic practices. So I will be working here in my studio on my on this project that I introduced for the Woven Network. And the project is dealing with how have women fought illness and pandemic historically, from the historical sense. So from medieval times to contemporary ages. And what I'm doing is I have been collecting different herbs, mushrooms, looking at different myths and superstitions, and I'm creating this fictional book of klokguma, as they are called in Swedish. All Swedish people who are watching, forgive my bad pronunciation, but it's basically like a folk healer. So I'm creating a book, a fictional book of a female folk healer, which is not necessarily based on true information, but it's dealing with remedies and different potions and so forth. So that's my short introduction. I will give word to Olga to introduce herself.
Yeah, thanks, Alice. Thanks, Diana, for the introduction. Do you hear me well? As it is windy here. So I'm as an artist, I mostly work with the landscapes. I won't work with the landscapes in my main work for the Woven Network project, but I think it's the landscapes is somehow like the open landscapes and open horizons inspire me in any kind of work, and I like being here. So I'm now in the place where to which I'm really attracted, and where I like to film something for my projects or making photos. I have done at least 3 projects here already. I will be walking around here and streaming how I walk all along the discussion. And to describe this place is the outskirts of Kharkiv, the Ukrainian city, my native city. And what is special for this place is the so here the houses that you may see behind my back, they border to the open and wild grasslands, and some fields of trees, some forests, pieces of forest, and people from the nearby houses, they occupied the part of the land for the gardens. And as I would walk, you may see the people working here, harvesting and growing some. I think this is a harvesting time already, or some preparations time, and they are actually, so they do it illegally, but it is something that really helps them sustain themselves with the vegetables and with the fruits. So it's very interesting place for me, where the city, the urban space borders the wild space, and people trying to cultivate these wild grasslands. So yeah, and this somehow relates to the topic of this discussion about spreading your feeling of home to the lands and to the other spaces around you. So yeah, thank you for joining, to everyone. Yeah.
And one more thing, how we decided to do this, because it's focused on the concept of home and working at home. We will just show sort of what we see. So I have this special mobile construction here, which I hope won't collapse, but I will point it towards my work desk, and Olia will be pointing her camera towards her landscape.
I just switched to the other camera now. Yeah.
So we just wanted to show ourselves for the introduction, but now you won't see us anymore. Well, this is a bit wobbly now.
So yeah, I just wanted to add for our viewers that our artist won't be able for a while to see the screen and to see the actual questions, and I will read them, or your comments. they are like kind of blind or partly blind. So, and we will see what they see. So, okay, let's enjoy and let's start. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, so we actually prepared a couple of questions that we wanted to ask our visitors, our guests in this session, and to ourselves. The first question, I guess, was what is home for you? What is home for you, Alice?
So should we start with ourselves, right? That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, home, I mean, sorry, I just get some cool.
Yeah, okay.
So for me, it's quite strange because I have been living in Sweden now for 5 years, and before I moved around quite a lot. So I lived in several different countries for the past 12, 13 years. So my whole adult life, basically, I would say. So it's a bit, I think, with this global knowledge of moving around, it's a bit difficult to be fully aware what home means for me. So there are different things. It's either connected to the physical space, or I think, or to the people around you at the place where you are living. But like if we are talking about the physical one now, so I live in quite a small apartment in the center of Stockholm, and I work freelance, and I work on several projects at the same time, and I work a lot, so basically all the time. So sometimes this home, and I don't think it's very healthy for anyone probably, but sometimes this home space feels really constricting, you know, it feels like, it feels suffocating because it's so much merged with the workspace for me. And I also have my studio. And I think this is a phenomenon that's obviously been around for the past 20 years or so with the postmodern society. I don't know, how do you feel about that? Do you have a similar experience, or?
Yeah, I started to think over this topic like recently, and like during the pandemic. It turns out like my life turned out like that. So I started to travel like quite a lot, like to move and to work with the landscapes, which requires like moving, like going out and like living home space. I got rid of my studio space like recently, so I'm like wandering artist, and my laptop is my is my working station for now, so I don't stop producing some material work. And I understood that for me, home stopped being connected with some specific space or some specific, I don't know, objects. It's like very like difficult for me. Like when people ask me, and when I think with of some people or some objects with which or some places with which home is associated to me, I cannot pick any actually, because it's rather I was thinking that it's rather a feeling of like having a choice and be free, like to move between spaces and places. And it's rather that you bring this feeling of home, feeling of comfort and freedom with you to each place. So yeah, for me it was like really so where whenever I felt like really comfortable, because of like I was open to any circumstances, any new experience. And I found out that any place is friendly to me. So, but during this like pandemic, when I stuck at the physical home, like where I live, where my belongings, where my things are, so I found out that it's really difficult. Like this place is like friendly, and I'm used to work there and live there, but the fact that you cannot leave that place, that you cannot go out for 2 months, we cannot go out, and right now I cannot, like, I have no like many variants to go somewhere, and it's felt like being imprisoned, like, you know, even in the place which seems to be like friendly to you and comfortable to you, but when you cannot leave this place, you're not free to go out whenever you want and wherever you want. So it feels like
sorry, that really ties to
sorry?
that idea. That ties to that idea what you're saying, this you know, quarantine and being restricted to staying at home. It's a similar concept to what I was talking about, that if you work from home all the time, as I do, you have a similar sensation of being imprisoned in a way as well, because you have to work there, so you cannot leave whenever you want. But maybe it'll be interesting actually to know, like, what is the situation like in Ukraine now? Because here in Sweden, I mean, I think it's a very different experience to how the rest of the world and the artists experience it, because there are some limitations here and restrictions, but of course it's been much more freer, much freer than in the rest of Europe and the rest of the world. So for me, in terms of, like, for me, it hasn't actually changed so much my work situation or how I spend my days. But what you're saying is that for you, it has changed quite considerably.
Yeah, it has, because like right now we are free to move inside the country because the quarantine restrictions lifted, despite the fact that the number of cases is like growing like exponentially. But I remember like in March and in April there was like a really like heavy restrictions, like you couldn't use transport, or you couldn't go outside only if you have your private vehicle, private car, or something like that. But as I work with the landscapes, and I needed to go somewhere to see the landscape, you know, I couldn't do that, and I felt like I can't do art and like for now, like the art I want to do, and it made me like frustrated a lot. So I even started the series of works which I called reused landscapes, where I took just my old landscape photos and tried to do something with them before I could go somewhere to see something new. Yeah, so but
work so much in outdoors as well, right?
yeah, so quite a lot. And I didn't think that it would be so difficult, because I'm not like I'm not the person who is outdoor all the time. So I just go for short trips, for some like walking sessions or like travels, and then go home and have a rest. It's not something that I'm on my way all the time. But so I work as a freelance designer, and I worked a lot from on my laptop from my like home apartment. And I thought that, oh, it must be nothing, I just keep going. But having this opportunity to go out whenever you want, it's like it felt like really something like terrible at times.
I think it's interesting for the people who are watching also to say we don't know each other. This is the first proper conversation we're having, right? Because we were just talking on Messenger. So for me, it's really interesting to hear what your experience is like as well.
Yeah, the same for me. And you have like your atelier or your studio in your home, and it's always be like that.
Yeah,
Always was like that. Mhm.
No, it hasn't always been like that, but I mean, everything's quite expensive here in Sweden, so it's also a way to save money, and then it's a convenient thing for me because since I work so much with my other projects, I'm also a curator and a project leader. Then it's just like I just move from my computer when I have the bit of time to when I can say to myself, oh, now I have 1 hour and I can actually paint or something. So it's convenient than if I had to commute 1 hour or even half an hour. It's just this mental barrier that when it's here, you can dedicate yourself to it immediately. But obviously, there's its downsides that then you can just never relax. It happens. But
Yeah,
before I was elsewhere in Stockholm as well.
Yeah, I was really always I always thought that like you need to separate your like artwork and life, so like space for living. So that I thought that's why most of artists have studios, like the separate space for making art. And yeah, and I actually had one, but I got to get rid of it like in the quarantine because of I couldn't afford it anymore, and I couldn't reach it like for 2 or 3 months. I couldn't just be there. I just paid for nothing, for not being there. And it was so strange, and it made me think over like the practice and about the concept of the studio itself.
Oh, it's very windy there now.
Yeah, it's like the weather is really nice, but I'm just above the trees, but that's why, because that's why it's like maybe noisy. So yeah, that's
It's really, by the way, for me, I have these mushrooms here that I have been picking up. They're all poisonous, and they have been smelling so strong in my apartment. It's crazy. It basically smells my whole. It smells like old mushrooms now. It's delightful.
Oh. And you usually go to the forest and pick them up, and how you choose which object to pick up?
It's quite a common thing in the Czech Republic to go mushroom hunting or mushroom picking. So, I mean, everyone does it from when they're little. But there's like this common rule that if at the bottom of the mushroom you have like this spongy-like structure, it's edible. It won't kill you. And when it has the parallel, whatever they're called, they're not great for you. So that's probably the rule number one. But otherwise, I just know some, and some you immediately know that they're also poisonous. And then I picked some really bizarre ones, like these tiny. I don't know if I can show it. I've been just gluing them. These like tiny mushrooms here. You can't see them, but I'm just showing them to the camera now. But they're extremely small and they just look so fun. Like if you eat them, you're gonna go to a different place. Anyway, now I drifted away from the topic.
Do you have some forest like really near Stockholm, or you go far from the city somewhere?
So Stockholm is really green, and there are quite many forests and natural reserve places. So that's nice. You don't have to go too far to find the green.
Oh, great!
That's good. How is it over there?
I think you should really go outside the city to go to some like really green place, because inside the city there are not so many wild like areas of wild nature. There are parks, but they are like over cultivated to my opinion, and people usually go outside the city like I don't know, 10, 12 kilometers from the city, or here, or even people, I saw some people I just didn't want to intrude to their little picnic, but they are sitting over there. I think that the people from these nearest buildings just come here to this small area of green and trees and forests, and they just make a barbecue here, or they jog here, or just walk and with their dogs and stuff. And that's why it's really nice place here, because like behind there is like a really big district the population of it is 500,000 people, I guess, and it's really like urbanistic, like overcrowded, and not so many places to have like the calm rest. So that's really nice that something wild and like uncultivated can be found here.
Shall we talk about another of our questions?
Yeah. So I need to check.
I can check. I have my computer there.
Yeah,
do you need help? Do you want me to read the questions or anything so that you?
I think you could, Diana, actually, if it's okay for you.
And yeah, well, there is a question and comment from myself, if you may, or
Yes, please. Yes.
yeah, and I wrote it in the chat. It's home, and the concept of home is something that is really traumatic for me, for myself. And thank you very much for bringing this theme, because I lost my home. It was in Donetsk, and when this region was violently occupied by military, like I lost my home like 6 years ago, and I had to run and start all over. You always feel that you don't feel home when you really just get when someone takes it from you violently. So yeah, and it was really it was challenging to start this home. It was easy to start work. It was easy to start to get new friends, to get to know different unfamiliar city, but home, it was I never felt like home, like for last 6 years. However, and the most important thing is that this quarantine, this epidemic has really brought something precious for me, and I got back the sense, the feeling of home.
In what way?
I think I started feeling it. I don't know. It was just something emotional. It's something that I felt inside, because I had to make myself be here, be in this rented apartment in Mariupol, and and to surround myself with cats, with love of my partner, and like with care, and with everything. And now, and I just feel this sense I used to have back at home in Donetsk, like years ago. So, and this is something that I don't know how it happened. It's something that I have to explore, but and I really feel what Olia
But
says.
is it perhaps because the situation of sorry, is it perhaps because this situation help any sort of feeling of belonging?
Yeah.
You know, this contemporary trend that is around so much. So maybe this quarantine, just because you are stuck at home, it help you feel at home.
Maybe because maybe I was just in denial, you know, that I just didn't want to actually inside somewhere inside back in very deep inside, I didn't want to admit and like that I don't have that hope anymore and I have to start all over and embrace another place. And you know, and now, yeah, I was stuck and I had to somehow admit and really accept this home and start, you know, decorating and making this all comfortable around me, and yeah, now I feel like home. And also I have 4 cats. Maybe that's the reason that I brought the 4th cat at home, and now it's way different. So yeah, and this is just
Thank you, Diana. It's really appreciate it that you sharing this, and it's really nice to hear that there are people who like brought something good from this situation and adjusted it somehow. I thought a lot that probably this pandemic situation like made us think more about ourselves as like about our borders and like setting up these borders, like yeah, because you cannot like so easily to interact with other people because of the virus spread. And I often think like about these borders and like learning your borders and learning to like protect your borders. And yeah, it's really interesting topic for me. Like but from myself, I like I feel really I don't know, disappointed these times, and probably yeah, I should I should like follow your like I don't know, experience or something. To
Really interesting topic for me. Like, but from myself, I feel really I don't know, disappointed these times, and probably yeah, I should I should like follow your like I don't know, experience.
now I hear myself.
Excuse me, Iwana, is it Iwana who is streaming the stream? I mean, we can hear some
Now
sound.
it's better. Now she's
Yeah,
fine.
I could hear myself, and I
Yeah.
didn't understood whether who is talking. Then I understood it's me. Weird.
But it sounded great. I mean, it was a good, interesting effect.
Yeah. Like the chance to hear yourself from outside.
But Olga, why did you actually? Because this was Olia's idea that we will talk about the idea of home and work, and I thought it's super interesting for me, related to my situation. But why did you actually? Why are you interested in it?
In the borders, or what
No,
do you mean?
in the subject of home. And have you been interested before the pandemic or before this coronavirus? Or
Yeah,
is
before I actually worked in some project with this topic. I had the project which was like really connected to this topic. It was called oh my God, it's so windy here. Sorry. It was called I don't know where I am, but it is my home. And it is ongoing project in which I like move to different places and set in these places my transparent flag. which is for me the symbol of me accepting and adjusting and being open to any place and any environment. Because when the black flag is transparent, what is like behind it, it is on the surface, so it doesn't carry any any drawing itself on the surface. It takes the image from outside. And I actually came with it to Mariupol this summer and left one of the flags as an artifact to Diana.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Diana disconnected. I think she could. Yeah, no, Diana's here.
I'm here. No, yes.
I didn't see you. So
no, it's okay. I really appreciate this artifact. We have now platform 2 has a little bit of it's like a tag on a map of your homes. You know, that's how I accept it. So once when you left this flag.
Yeah, yeah, I really wanted to leave it there, I don't know, it's the place where I would return to many times, and I feel like I really wish to return, to come back there many times. And it was like a year ago, like before the pandemic, and then I during the pandemic I participated in the online residency from Japanese organizers, Japanese residency space, which was on the topic of home, and it is still goes on, this residency, and I still work on this, and we discuss a lot this topic of home, and I made a project where I tried to virtually connect home spaces all over the world, through the photographs. And we had this it tested through in my home apartment and in the home space in Japan. And now I try to encourage people to join this project, and actually many people sent me some photos, and they to start the exchange wider. So yeah, I think that was why I'm so interested in this topic, because I really work a lot with it and think a lot about it.
And also, it's a Japanese residence, you were saying, right? I think it's also super interesting how all the different cultures, how different the understanding of home and all the norms and how much they differ. I think that would be super interesting to be able to compare somehow. I don't know how, but in a proper research.
Yeah.
No, because in Japanese culture, this simplicity and this sort of the simple and very, from my quite basic understanding, the very constricted and rule-oriented way of inhabiting a place. It's just so totally different to what we have here in the Western Europe or Eastern. It doesn't really matter in Europe.
Olia, do you remember how we, it's Diana speaking, do you remember how we went online to this Japanese home residency from my place when you were staying, and how different it was? In Japan, Japanese participants, they were staying in Tokyo in this small apartment, and whereas we were live from a huge place where I'm staying, it was really it was a real contrast. You remember? And I think they told that it's usual for Japan and Asian countries to have the apartments not so big, and to use the space
properly to use it. While in Ukraine, we may have like some. So how the way how we use this free space may seem like I don't know, not inappropriate, but useless,
Waste.
or yeah, like a waste of free space. Because I heard actually even from not from people from Asia or some other like continents, but from Europe, which is like slightly more Western than us, like through the Poland or Germany, that what we have here, like in Ukraine, like so these wastelands you see, like it's totally wastelands, and so they asked how it could it be like that we don't use these lands for some purpose. I don't know why we leave it just lay there and like for nothing, just covering with the wild grass, you know.
But it's
And
also
they
these small things, you know, like, I don't know, taking off your shoes at home.
yeah.
Or I lived in the UK for 6 years, and then you have this, you know, often people don't take off their shoes when they enter the space. And it feels like such a heresy to me, nearly. And then you have carpets everywhere there, and then you just tramp around on these dirty shoes throughout your house. I just felt like it personally offends my inner sense of hygiene and, you know, and just well-being. It's so strange how people get used to all these different, and it obviously it feels normal and it feels good, but to me especially this particular thing is just so weird. And in Japan you have all these slippers to change even from one room to another or one space of use to another.
Yeah.
And here in Sweden it's also very like you have to take off your shoes when you enter, and Czech Republic. How is it in
Sorry?
How is it there in Ukraine with this thing?
Yeah, we take off our shoes, like obviously because you may enter from really like dirty places, because yeah, it may be like in winter or in autumn, it's really maybe like dirty outside, and it's obvious that you should take off your shoes. And I was always attracted to the concept of the home shoes, like the special kind of shoes which you wear at home. It's just not just slippers, or not just like, you know, these open sandals or something. They may be just really soft, really fluffy thing, and there may be. So in my mother's house and in my grandmother's houses, they used to have like the separate home shoes for, I don't know, for every person living there and for the guests. And I remember that both of my grandmothers used to weave these shoes, like am I right? Like Diana would help me. Вязать.
Yeah, it's like knit. Do you mean like knit to
knit?
knit?
Yes, to knit.
Yeah.
So yes.
Is it
Thank you.
Something like this that I'm wearing now? The knitted home shoes.
Yeah, the home shoes, but I think they knit it in some with some other like techniques or these threads, so they feel like really texturized. I will show I will show you like some I don't know, sometimes
I'm wearing the same one. I'm just wearing just what you are saying now. Well, when you will be back to the screen, I will just show you. And I'm sure there's something. Actually. Yeah. Something.
But you know, this is funny because it feels, and it's related to the topic that we're discussing, that we're now discussing such a small, sort of insignificant thing like home slippers. And maybe, you know, we're not discussing any big mind-blowing topics, but I think it's so relevant to what we are actually talking about, the working at home, because you want to be comfortable at home and you want to have your slippers on if you are constantly stuck with your work. So it's a lot about comfort, I think, this sort of environment. You know, I don't, and it's also the Zoom meetings, like it is not just a joke for me that you just put on something nice on top and you have like your pajamas bottoms when you are.
We have a comment from a follower on Facebook who answered one of the questions you've posted before. And the question was, has your feeling of home has transformed recently and how? So they say that the answer is that with the start of quarantine, the desire to go outside and escape from home has increased. And I think this is something that many people have felt before or now.
I totally agree. From my side, it's like really, really true. So I think it's something like when you lose, like when you, oh my God, when you lose something, you just feel the strong need in this. Like when you,
like you always want what you can't have in a way, and that's very much simplifying it. But it's true. It's also now like with the limited travel, and we have had one question there connected to mobility and traveling. I mean, it just makes you sort of escape even more than when it was so easy, doesn't it?
Yes. I feel right now that I would escape once the borders are opened. Like they are actually right now, but like to Turkey, I guess, to several countries. Yeah.
I'm actually traveling to on Tuesday.
Where?
Berlin.
Oh,
wow. Berlin. So it will be an interesting experience, I guess. It's for work travel, but it's the first work travel under Corona times for me.
Yeah, and I think it would be interesting to see how the travels, like how travels have changed, like all this like prevention of virus spread, or with all this. I'm interested. Would it take like a longer time in these? How to say, in these transfer zones as airports, as you know, it used to take a lot of time, like 3-4 hours, like before the department and after the arrival. But I think because of the pandemic, it could take a lot more time,
or a lot less. Maybe there are much less people.
But yeah, it could be. But they
controls and stuff, right?
Sorry?
Because of controls.
Yeah, lots of controls and testing stuff and waiting for, like, being tested. And I think it applies more to Ukrainian situation, where like people tend to ignore some measures, and you may just stuck because of some people ignoring these measures. I heard like a story of the plane had to land because some passengers on board refused to wear masks when the stewardess asked them to do so. They just refused, and they had to land all the plane in some city, and so it was a big delay, obviously.
We have another comment about what is home related to, and what is it associated with. And the comment is that home is associated with this Russian word chlopoty, which is in English, I would say like fuss or like hustle, botheration, something like that, like a little like troubles. Olia, do you think it's the right translation? Like, you know, when you're running errands, do something, have to do something all the time, like to bother about something, like hassle.
When you're busy or
homekeeping stuff, I don't know.
Yes, I guess so. So just maybe it's about keeping you, you know, busy.
Interesting. That's an interesting take on, I think, no? I guess it also, you know, I live by myself. So I guess for me, it's all about my own time division, but it must have been so difficult for people like with families stuck in the same space together for like a couple of months. I think it must, I can understand why it's, especially then it would be connected to this word you were saying.
Yeah, and I was thinking a lot that really it's really about women, that so the women continue doing this homekeeping work, and then the children stuck with them and their husbands stuck with them, and many more relatives. So, and it's all somehow can just lay on the women's shoulders, and it's more a lot of work and all this like, you know, homemakers, homekeepers stuff. It became like more difficult in these times to keep it.
I have another question, because Ola, you've mentioned your parents or your grandmother's home, and I just wanted to ask, do you remember your parents' home, and do you feel well, I feel myself, I feel like a really warm feeling. I have this warm feeling about the home I was raised in, you know, in my childhood. And there is something special about my childhood home, which I cannot ever, you know, have this feeling in other homes ever. So do you have the same? Do you have like this family home feeling that is that means something like more and special to you, both of you?
You know, I think home is so much connected. The concept we have built of home for ourselves, it's so much connected to memory, I think. You know, it's basically, obviously you have this the education, the cultural environment, but it's so much tied to subjective memories and also smells. You know, I have also these really vivid, even just smell sensations from my grandparents' house or my great uncle's house in Slovakia, and all these, or just like glimpses of small encounters or small memories, and all together, I think it really forms what you make in your adult life, what you make and how you build your own vision of a home. So I share your perspective there, Diana. I can very much agree with that. How about Olia?
I was just thinking over it while you were talking, and for me, I think it's difficult. It's hard to say because I have actually access right now to my family house where my parents live and where my grandparents live. So I wasn't separated from them. So I didn't had this, I don't know, like, because nostalgia is the feeling like of something that have passed, like from the past, like the feeling from the past. And I don't have this so I have this all continued. So I may visit still my parents and the house where I lived as a child, and all these places. So I'm the lucky one in this case. So I can't say that I feel something as like this especially like you say, because I haven't lost it, you know. It is still in my present, and I don't feel it like something special, probably.
I don't know, but is it true? Because it's also, I mean, it's connected to someone you're not. It's connected to someone you're not anymore. No, like you have lost that. You've lost that direct connection to your child self. No, so the memories are a bit different than how you experience it today. I think I get really for this, like what I could have become, you know, and it's connected to home a bit, not directly and all of it, but still.
Yeah. It's an interesting topic about how you like perceive your memory of your past, and all from your past. It's very interesting.
Oh, we should also have it as a topic for one of the next weaving sessions.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah, memory and past is for Ukraine. It's especially like actual like relevant topic.
We could also get on such a nostalgic line, though. It would be such a downer session, no?
Yeah.
No, maybe not, but it could be interesting either way.
Yeah.
Do you know that we've been weaving this session for almost an hour now? You were working online, working and talking about home for almost an hour already.
Really? Oh, yeah. It felt like nothing. I didn't realize.
Yeah. Can I ask maybe the last or one more question for you ladies? And if you had to relocate immediately somewhere, what will you take with you to make so that to make the new home? You know, what things or what stuff, what memories will you need to start a new home and feel like home? Like I will take my cat. That's it. That's my cat, and I will have a home where my cats are.
Yeah, for me it's like my cats are also like feel like home, but I'm not sure that I will be able to take them somewhere. Actually, when I take with me my like laptop, which is like my window to the world with which I work, because like I really don't separate the work and life and
home,
like and home. Yeah, so I consider it's like an instrument to go to the world and to open myself to the world and backwards, like to open the world for myself. So yeah, I think it's like the most relevant instrument for me, and like to take somewhere, to take it somewhere with me.
I don't have cats, so I wouldn't take my cat with me. But and we said that we will turn the. I was making a joke. I would take my house slippers, but I probably wouldn't. I think I would take books. I would take some books with me, for sure. Is that I just love books. I think it makes me feel very safe and comfortable when I can surround myself with books. But one thing I'm a bit sad we haven't touched during this discussion, or very briefly, is that, and it's related to my project of it, is how I think it's really unhealthy to combine work and home all the time. And I think it's very difficult today to try and separate them. But obviously there will be such a long discussion how to, how to do that, if you just have to set some of your own boundaries or if you work as freelancer, for example. But it's not just that, it's also all these companies put constantly more and more pressure on working overtime, constantly being available on your phone. And like, how do you deal with that? I think it's really important to talk about, but we don't have time for it.
Yeah, but we have like a couple of minutes, and I really wanted to ask you, Alice, especially you, because you work at home and you live at work, right? Do you separate it at least physically? I mean, at least physically, or by time, or by mentally? How do you do it?
We also, like with one of my works, I work with this art fair called Supermarket. So we rent an office, you know, so I have the opportunity to go there and work there. But with some of my other projects, I don't separate it so much now. Like it's also now this idea, streaming from home. It's work to do this now. But in a way, I think it's really emerging for me because I love most of my work that I do. I really love it. So it's a bit problematic, right? Because then if you really enjoy it, perhaps you don't even feel like you need to separate it and you get into this strange mindset. But anyway, to your question, yeah, I do separate it physically, that I go to the office when I can, or I try to every day, but not always, no.
Because I remember Ola, when she was staying with me, she was like living and working and like making her project like through all the night. So that's why I know how Ola feels about work, which is just something interconnected, and the same with me goes with me. It's only during this COVID I started to, you know, work to manage one from another. So at least, you know, by rooms or by time or make days off, it's really important. So yeah, and I think it's a huge maybe topic for the next sessions.
Yeah, I mean, it's also about prioritizing. Eventually, I guess you just have to prioritize if you want to have some free time or not. You know, just say, oh, I don't work this day.
And it's also about invisible work and the invisibility of work, because sometimes you, especially for artists, for freelancers, because you artists, you participants of this project of Woven Session, Woven Network, you address this invisible women roles and works, but actually our work, your work, is also invisible. No one is aware, very few people are aware of what it takes and what is it that you do. And you artists and us managers, it's a huge, interesting, you know, thing to explore.
Is this how you selected us artists for the project? Just work obsessed?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we love work obsessed people because we are crazy ourselves. Yeah, that's exactly how the most passionate you are, the best, you know, is for everyone. Although we may burn out at the end. No, I don't want this.
It's actually like when you are, as Alice said, when you love what you do, it's sometimes it's hard to to distinguish which like what is rest for you, because for me it's like very difficult to like to say that what this activity is rest and this is work. So there is some proverb in I think it's Russian proverb, or I don't know. The best rest is changing your activity. So it's some kind of like, I think, yeah, it's not healthy in like in physical, in terms of physical health and mental health, I guess. But it's something like, I know many people who work like that, and I myself work like that. So I just switch in between some activities and yeah, and it's like a great topic to research and discuss what the rest is, and especially in these times when we are all online. And you know, like 10 years ago, my mom would say that being online and like surfing the internet is rest. But now I would say that no, it's a huge work. Like it is, and having these online Zoom calls, it's also like a great work. I didn't actually like I had the Zoom calls before, like for work before the pandemic, but they were not so long, and they didn't take so much time from the day. And only during the pandemic I found out that it's actually like really effort taking and time taking stuff.
really
And
exhausting.
yeah, really exhausting stuff. And but I know some workers, some employers, they do not count the Zoom calls for your like working hours.
Mm.
But it's weird because yeah, it's like having it's worse than having like live conferences and live meetings. So yeah, I think this pandemic actually like changed our perception of work and rest and everything.
Yeah, and killed the internet, the pleasures of internet, the pleasure of online meetings.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
So I think that all these concepts of both everything that this COVID brought to us, to women, to cultural professionals and artists, will be then transformed and converted to artistic response to your works that will be shown and publicly in like 2 months, and less than in 2 months. And I'm happy to have witnessed the bits of work you've done, like and all these mushrooms, Alice. I feel sorry for for the smell.
It's okay, I'm used to it now. I feel like part of the mushroom.
No, be careful. Do you know that mushrooms can be, drugs and so on?
Aware. Thank you, Diana. But actually, for me, this session was really productive because I haven't had so much time to prioritize this project and sort of just sit down and actually do so much. So this is maybe one of the few, and I shouldn't say this, but it's one of the few really focused sessions I have had about the project in a way.
Yeah, thank you so much. I know that do you remember how we noticed at the first chat we started about this project, how we've noticed that we couldn't just set the time, as you said, like just set the time for just 7 artists and 3 managers. Couldn't set the time because not because everyone is so is not serious, but just because this quarantine didn't bring more time, more free time.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how it goes, and I'm happy that we've drowned in this project together. I will check if there are. Okay, so there was no comments other than that we are beautiful, and thank you everything. So thank you, Ola. Thank you, Alice. We were weaving the network.
The people who ask.
Just I lost someone. Yeah, we were weaving the session, the network between artists of the project Woven Network. Olia Fedorova from Kharkiv, Ukraine, and Alice Máselníková from Stockholm, Sweden, were working at home and talking about home and work and the concepts that have changed so drastically. Please, thank you so much, dear artists, and thank you, the viewers. Please stay with us. We will have more sessions with both artists and many more. We have 7 of them. This is the project with a network that is supported by House of Europe. Thank you so much for the support, and please stay with us and wait for the big opening. We can go offline now, Vera.
Thank you so much, Diana. Thank you for people who were watching.
Thank you, Diana.
It was fun. It was a surprising pleasure to take part in this meeting.